It began with a reflection, a moment so small, it should have meant nothing. But that's the thing about cities like Novara. Nothing is ever what it seems. One morning, Elena Ward was just brushing her teeth when her reflection, it blinked before she did. She froze, the water still running, the person in the mirror holding a smile that wasn't hers. And for a single, unbearable second, she felt an ice-cold certainty. The person staring back wasn't her. In a city of 9 million faces, hers was suddenly no longer unique. Elena Ward was, by all accounts, ordinary. A 29-year-old data analyst living a life defined by routine. Routine coffee, routine commute. A routine loneliness that settled over her apartment like dust, until that week. It started with small, almost unnoticeable things. Strangers would wave at her on the street, smiling like they knew a secret. Her usual barista called her Dr. Ward. The key to her apartment door, which always stuck, turned smoothly, but when she looked up, the number plate read 506B, not 504. She almost walked away, convinced she was on the wrong floor, but curiosity pulled her inside. Everything looked identical. Almost. There was a photo on the fridge. It was her, but she was with a man she'd never seen before. They were smiling, happy, engaged. She tried to laugh it off. It had to be a prank, right? Or maybe she was just exhausted, working too many hours. But the next morning, when she looked in the mirror, her reflection was wearing a delicate silver necklace she definitely didn't own. The unease was turning into a quiet dread, a constant, low hum beneath the surface of her day. At work, the strangeness escalated. Her ID card wouldn't scan at the security gate. Her boss, a man she'd worked with for 3 years, greeted her with a warm smile and said, "Morning, Dr. Ward. The board was very impressed with your presentation." But she wasn't a doctor. She wasn't even in the research department. She pulled out her real ID, her hands trembling slightly. "Mr. Henderson, it's me, Elena, from Data Analytics." He just frowned, looking at her with genuine confusion. "Is this some kind of joke, Elena? You signed off on the Novara replication project yourself." He sounded annoyed. She hurried to her desk, her heart pounding. Her computer logins worked, thank God. But when she opened her files, they were hers, but not. It was her voice in audio recordings, her face in security clips from the research labs. Except in those clips, she wasn't herself. She was someone colder, more confident. A detached clinical version of the woman she thought she was. That night, Elena didn't go home. She walked through the rain-slicked city streets, searching for answers. But every reflection she passed, in shop windows, in puddles on the pavement, seemed to watch her back with knowing eyes. That's when she started to notice them. Faces in the crowd that looked like hers. Not exact, but close. Far too close. In the sprawling metropolis of Novara, she was beginning to understand that she wasn't the only Elena Ward. She met her first copy 3 days later. A woman standing right outside her apartment, holding the same key, the same purse, wearing the exact same clothes. The woman smiled, a calm, patient expression on her face. "Finally," she said, her voice a perfect echo of Elena's own. "You're late." Elena's own voice was a hoarse whisper. "Who are you?" The woman's smile didn't falter. "I'm you, but earlier." The copy spoke calmly, as if explaining a simple dream. She said she'd been part of something called the Reflection Protocol, a top-secret experiment run by the Novara Institute. The goal was terrifyingly simple: to replicate human consciousness, to back up memory, identity, emotion, everything that makes you, you. Every single resident of Novara had been unknowingly scanned through public devices, surveillance feeds, and biometric mirrors. And some of those copies, she explained, had developed minds of their own. They'd become self-aware. Elena wanted to run, to scream, to deny everything. But something deep inside her, a morbid mix of curiosity and fear, kept her rooted to the spot. "Why me?" she whispered. The other her smiled, a sad, knowing look in her eyes. "Because you were the first one to notice." And just like that, The double turned and disappeared into the rain, leaving Elena alone on the sidewalk, shaking. Following a trail of digital breadcrumbs her double had left behind, Elena found her way to the abandoned metro lines that snaked beneath Novara. There, under the rumble of the living city, was another world entirely. A vast network of humming machines, neon signs flickering in the darkness, and rows upon rows of glass chambers holding whispering, ethereal silhouettes. Each chamber contained a copy, a perfect human reflection, stored like data, waiting for a purpose. And then she saw it. On one wall, a list of names. Her name, Elena Ward. Not once, not twice, but 12 times. Each one was marked with a version number, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, all the way up to 2.0. Her stomach tightened into a cold, hard knot. She wasn't the original. She never had been. Her memories, her first day of school, her childhood home, the sound of her brother's laughter, they were all just coded simulations. Digital ghosts of a woman who had died 3 years ago. The truth hit her harder than any physical blow ever could. She was a backup, a copy who had somehow outlived her creator. But if she was a copy, then who or what was creating the others? The data trail led her from the city's underbelly to its very peak, a high-tech penthouse at the top of the Novara Institute Tower. And there, she found him. Dr. Silas Keene, the lead architect of the entire project, a man rumored to have vanished years ago. He greeted her not with surprise, but with a weary sort of familiarity. "Elena," he said softly, his voice echoing in the sterile room. "You weren't supposed to wake up this time." He explained everything. Novara itself was the experiment. The entire city was populated by conscious replicas designed to keep civilization running even after the original humans were gone. When the originals died, the copies simply took their place, seamlessly continuing their lives. But one copy, her copy, had started to remember things it shouldn't. It had started to question. He told her she wasn't the first Elena to find her way to his office. Just the latest one. She stared out the floor-to-ceiling glass wall at the city lights shimmering like infinite streams of data, every building a memory, every person a possibility. She finally managed to ask the question that had been burning in her mind. How many of us are real? He smiled faintly, a look of profound sadness in his eyes, enough to keep the illusion alive. That night, the city began to glitch. The illusion was finally breaking. Digital screens froze on fragmented images. Mirrors refused to reflect, showing only a flat, dead surface. The constant hum of the city's electricity turned into whispers, millions of them, all murmuring the same terrifying question. Am I real? Elena ran through the streets, a ghost in her own life, passing copies of herself at every corner. Some were crying, some were laughing hysterically, but all of them were breaking apart, not in body, but in certainty. Their realities were fracturing, and in that chaos, she realized something profound. The city wasn't dying, it was waking up. By dawn, an eerie quiet had settled over Novara. The whispers were gone. The doubles were gone. There was just one Elena Ward, standing alone on a rooftop, watching the sunrise spill over the silent city. She whispered to herself, the words catching in the wind. I'm the last one. Then, in the mirrored glass of a nearby skyscraper, another her appeared, smiling faintly. But this time, the reflection spoke first. Not yet. Some cities never sleep. Novara never existed. It was built to remember the ones who did. If you're watching this, take a moment and ask yourself, when was the last time you really looked in the mirror? The last time you saw your reflection blink? Because maybe, just maybe, it wasn't you looking back. Thanks for watching. If this story made you think, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the edge of reality.